Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. 1923 Season 2 makes winter brutal compared to Kevin Costner's Yellowstone series. Winter is unforgiving in 1923 compared to Kevin Costner's Yellowstone series, where he plays John Dutton IV, the owner of the Yellowstone Ranch. Things are bleak in 1923 Season 2, Episode 2, and with a title like The Rapist is Winter, it's clear that winter plays a significant role in almost everyone's misery. Cara Dutton, Helen Mirren, and Elizabeth Strafford, Michelle Randolph, were riding out a blizzard in 1923 Season 2, Episode 2, worsened by Elizabeth's wolf bite. It was proving a storm to remember, especially after the wolf let itself into the lodge and devoured Elizabeth's nurse. Jacob, Harrison Ford, and Jack Dutton, Darren Mann, were on their way home when the storm hit, and their journey proved how harrowing a Montana winter can be. As the 1923 characters travel home on horseback and in a wooden wagon, they are forced to detour into the pines to keep the party from the blizzard's wrath. While things aren't much better for Spencer Dutton, Brandon Sklinner, or Alexandra, Julia Schleifer, at least the star-crossed lovers are avoiding winter in the mountains. One that Cara notes is more brutal than most. 1923 Season 2 does something Yellowstone has hardly done before by showing the Dutton Ranch in the winter. The main characters in 1883 and Yellowstone never encounter winter, existing in the summer and fall. Winter is hardly mentioned in Kevin Costner's series, so Beth, Kelly Riley, and Case Dutton, Luke Grimes, don't have to brave the cold much, at least not that we can see. Lloyd Pierce, Forey J. Smith, finally alludes to the daunting nature of winter in Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 14, warning Rip Cole Hauser about the cold in Dillon. Taylor Sheridan's other Yellowstone prequel also avoids the unforgiving nature of winter, despite its constant threat throughout 1883, which follows the earliest known members of the Dutton family tree as they travel a northwestern variant of the Oregon Trail. Winter is an ominous threat to the wagon train's party, who navigate the fierce landscape as they make a harrowing journey in search of a better life. While the wilderness throws unending obstacles at James Dutton, Tim McGraw, and his family, including tornadoes and unforgiving rivers, Elsa, Isabel May, never gets to ride through the snow before arriving in Paradise Valley. Winter in Montana is the perfect setting for 1923 Season 2, fitting the chapter's grave and ominous tones. The Duttons experience winter both physically and metaphorically. In her narration as Elsa Dutton, Isabel May describes winter as the killing season, when the strong eat the weak. The meaning of the mountain lion in the premiere of 1923 Season 2 is to indicate that the Prohibition-era Dutton family has been reduced to mere survival, fighting among the animals for their safety while Donald Whitfield, Timothy Dalton, looks at them like prey and their ranch as a prize to be hunted. It feels appropriate to show the 1920s Duttons against the ominous white backdrop of winter as they face an enormous struggle. Still, it raises the question of why Yellowstone didn't also have the same treatment. Logistically, it probably didn't make sense to haul Kevin Costner and the entire Yellowstone crew out to Montana midwinter. 1923 is just 2 seasons, making it more sustainable to shoot in the snow. Moreover, even when Beth and Case are forced to sell the ranch in Yellowstone Season 5, Taylor Sheridan's 1883 prophecy makes the moment more of a triumph than a struggle. We never get to see John and Beth in their most substantial snow gear on the porch against a backdrop of white, but Yellowstone has shown the winter months occasionally. A few winter moments appeared in flashbacks on the flagship series. In Yellowstone Season 1, Episode 7, A Monster Among Us, a flashback to Christmas morning in 1996 showed a younger John Dutton, Josh Lucas, with his wife, Evelyn, Gretchen Mole, and their children enjoying their last Christmas morning together. That is everyone except Beth, Kelly Rogers, who has just gotten her first period. That morning, Winter reflected the talk Evelyn gave her daughter about the crushing nature of womanhood. It's also Winter in a flashback to the Yellowstone Ranch in 1893, which shows James Dutton coming upon a group of Crow people camped on his ranch, who ask if they can bury their relative on the land that used to be theirs. Winter similarly reflects the grave tones of the moment, as James remarks that it's a harsh winter. The killing season is shown sparingly in Sheridan's network of Yellowstone shows, and it's more brutal than ever in 1923 Season 2. Taylor Sheridan's 1923 has already carved a harrowing, snow-packed legacy within the Yellowstone universe, but Season 2 is poised to intensify the winter's brutality beyond anything Kevin Costner's Yellowstone has ever portrayed. While Yellowstone certainly has its share of frigid struggles, modern technology and infrastructure provide the Dutton family with luxuries that their ancestors in 1923 could only dream of. This prequel series, set in the early 20th century, transforms winter into a truly merciless force, stripping its characters to their rawest survival instincts and making even the harshest Yellowstone storms seem mild in comparison. The wrath of an untamed winter. The winters in 1923 are not just cold, they are primal, unrelenting, and indifferent to human suffering. Season 1 already depicted bone-chilling storms that threatened both the Dutton family's livelihood and the survival of those living on the frontier. With Season 2, Sheridan is doubling down on this frozen hellscape, forcing Jacob and Cara Dutton to battle an environment that feels like a living entity bent on their destruction. Unlike Yellowstone, where John Dutton and his crew have heated cabins, insulated vehicles, and high-powered equipment to fight off the cold, 1923 presents a world where a simple snowfall could mean life or death. The Duttons of the 1920s can't call in snowplows to clear the roads or helicopters to rescue stranded cattle. Instead, they must rely on their wits, their livestock, and sheer willpower to endure. The difference in technology alone makes 1923's depiction of winter far more formidable than anything seen in Yellowstone. Brutality of the elements. If Yellowstone showcases Montana's winters as a challenge to be endured, 1923 elevates them into a monstrous adversary. In Yellowstone, we see ranch hands breaking ice for cattle to drink or struggling to keep their livestock warm, but there is always a solution at hand: a generator, a warm stable, or at worst, a quick ride to the nearest town. Season 2 of 1923 is expected to introduce even more extreme conditions, where blizzards last for days and temperatures drop so low that exposed skin freezes within minutes. Imagine the Duttons struggling to find food for their cattle, losing animals to frostbite, or even having to confront the very real possibility of starving settlers who see the ranch as their last hope. The cold in 1923 isn't just an inconvenience, it's a predator waiting for a moment of weakness. The psychological toll of isolation. Winter in Yellowstone is dangerous, but winter in 1923 is isolating to a soul-crushing degree. John Dutton and his family can still drive into Bozeman or call for emergency assistance when needed. The world of 1923, however, is one where a snowstorm can cut off entire homesteads for weeks. Roads disappear beneath ice, horses freeze mid-journey, and even the strongest individuals must confront the madness of being trapped in an endless white wasteland. Season 2 is rumored to lean even further into this psychological horror of winter. We may see characters struggling with frostbite-induced delirium, forced to ration food and water as starvation looms. The isolation will breed paranoia and desperation, making winter a test of not just physical endurance, but also mental fortitude. In Yellowstone, winter is harsh but survivable. In 1923, it is a nightmare without mercy. The savage cost of survival. Winter in 1923 isn't just about enduring the cold, It's about making unthinkable sacrifices to see another day. Whereas Yellowstone's John Dutton can call a vet if his cattle are in distress, Jacob Dutton in 1923 must make gut-wrenching decisions about which animals to save and which to let perish. The sheer brutality of frontier ranching means that characters may have to kill their own horses for food, burn precious resources just to stay warm, or even consider leaving their homes entirely in search of more hospitable land. Season 2 is expected to explore these life-or-death decisions more deeply, showing a winter so unforgiving that even the strongest ranchers are brought to their knees. This isn't the relatively cushioned hardship of Yellowstone. This is the raw, desperate fight for survival that defined the early 20th century American West. A winter that feels like a war. For all of Yellowstone's tension and drama, its characters are not engaged in the same primal battle against nature that the Duttons of 1923 face. Season 2 will emphasize that in the 1920s, winter wasn't just a season, it was a war. Every snowfall is a siege, every blizzard a bombardment, and every freezing night a prolonged fight against the elements.